Hi, I'm Dr. Tanya Nascimento, and in this presentation, I'm going to try to explain Pavlov's classical conditioning. So what I have here is an ocarina, which is going to serve as our tone. I have Pavlov's dog bowl, and I have Pavlov's dog. So in classical conditioning, what Pavlov figured out is that when you blow on the tone, when you have the tone here, the dog just goes, huh, okay, I heard a tone. Not a big deal. The tone is a neutral stimulus. It evokes no response or just a pricking up of the ears. The food. When the food is presented, the dog says, food, runs and eats. So he has salivation and he goes for the food. This occurs without any learning taking place. You present food, any of you who have pets know this, you present the food, you bring out the food and the dog just comes running. The dog starts salivating, the dog eats without any learning taking place. So this is unconditioned because it didn't need to be learned. Conditioning is a synonym for learning. So unlearned, no learning had to take place. So we have our unconditioned stimulus, that which is presented first, which is the food, and an unconditioned response, which is salivation and going to get it. Now in classical conditioning, we're going to associate two stimuli. We're going to pair them together repeatedly. So we're going to give the tone first, and it's important that it's first in order to pair it with what comes next. So the neutral stimuli comes first, the tone, and then food, salivation, and running. Now this is still an unconditioned stimulus and response because he would have done it anyway. We're going to keep doing it over and over and over again. The neutral, present to the food, dog comes running. Food, dog comes running. We're pairing it over and over and over again. This is the acquisition phase where we are conditioning the association and having the dog associate the tone with the food again and again. And run. And run. And over again. It's an unconscious process. Don't have a formula for how long it would take, but eventually we'll just give the tone and the dog will come running, thinking that food is going to be there. Now at this point, the tone is conditioned. This is a conditioned stimulus and response because it would not occur normally or naturally. It had to be learned. So it's conditioned, it's learned. Conditioned stimulus, conditioned response, comes running, thinking that there's going to be food. Now if I keep presenting the tone, the dog comes, and he's like, hey, where's the food? I thought that the tone meant food was coming, but I guess not. So I keep going. Whatever. You don't fool me now. So the response gets extinct, which basically means it gets very weakened. It's unlike a species, it doesn't disappear entirely. Because a time delay, some amount of time could pass, and I've been doing this, and he's like, whatever, and then all of a sudden. So the response can be spontaneously recovered. There is spontaneous recovery even after an extinct response. But that's few and far between. So if it's not paired, if there's not a reinforcement of it, it does weaken over time. So those are your terms, and that's how the process works. Neutral stimulus with no response, and then an unconditioned stimulus with an unconditioned response, what occurs normally and naturally. Then you pair the neutral stimulus with the unconditioned stimulus over and over and over again until it becomes conditioned. At that point, your previously neutral stimulus is now a conditioned stimulus, and you have a conditioned response. You continue to give the conditioned stimulus without the pairing, without the association, and eventually the response will become extinct. But extinct just means it's weakened, and it could be spontaneously recovered. If you followed that entire explanation, then you have classical conditioning down. I hope you understand it better after my little reenactment.